This might seem a bit boring, but please bear with me. So, I had prepared to have this shoot since 12 noon. And looking at the time now, it's almost 8 o'clock. I had waited for 8 hours and there was no power. So, I had to turn on my generator and I had to shoot just like that. So, do not mind these headphones. I had to put them on so I'm not distracted in any way from the sounds that I'm hearing. And I just want to keep this audio as clean and fresh as possible. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Viv. If this is your first time on this channel, please do not forget to subscribe for more satisfying content. So on my channel, I basically talk about things that are basically relatable to everyone. Or if this is not your first time, welcome back. Thanks for coming back and thanks for being here. So on today's episode, we'll be discussing the things that I wish I knew before I tied the knot. If you are interested in getting married, or you just want to be part of this because you want to listen to some tea, then stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. I just want to say a big thank you to every single person who wrote down their contributions, people who sent in their contributions and their experiences. Thank you for being truthful. Thank you for being honest. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty. And without further ado, let's get into this. So we'll be talking about different people's experiences, and you'll be hearing stuff like Mrs. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. Just note that this does not in any way connote that this is their first name or last name or anything. Let me start with, okay, so I'll start with Mrs. A. And Mrs. A says, I wish I knew that I would be selling my freedom. I did not know that it was that serious. I wish I knew that saying I am tired was going to be a problem. 3, I wish I knew that sex gets tiring. I been think say I go dey hustle am like it was when unmarried. I also wish I believed I could do this earlier. I had so much fear as I thought I could never stay married. That was Mrs. A. And Mrs. B says that I need to set boundaries with my in-laws way before tying the knot. Face palm 4 times. So I think this was a huge regret for Mrs. B. And over to Mrs. C. She says, I thought it was just your spouse you'd be focused on. His family should also be considered as well. They must be kind, at least the ones close to him. Interesting. Mrs. D says, I knew this before marriage, but leaving it, man, love is not enough. I hope you're hearing this. And then Mr. A says, marriage sex is boring. Interesting. And Mr. V says, you need money. On a serious note, a healthy marriage needs less of receiving and more of giving. What I mean is this. Our natural state as humans is selfish. I think about my need first, and I'm not happy if I'm not getting my needs met. For the marriage to be healthy, both parties need to consciously and intentionally focus on giving and meeting the needs of the other party. This is what I'm still learning to do more of. Nice. So Mrs. E says, whatever you see your spouse do to others is very likely to be done to you. For example, if you notice they are bitter and unforgiving to one person you think they don't necessarily like, it's just a matter of time and you'll be the next on their list. Interesting. And she also goes on to say, there's so much joy in being single. LMAO. Nice. I mean, Single people, I'm sure you all can agree that there's so much, but it's not all the time, Sha. But I feel that if you have experienced marriage and you now become single, let's say you experienced a bad marriage and you now become single, it go sweet you. It go sweet you where. Mr. C says, if the guy doesn't know how to manage himself and the lady, he will stress the marriage. He can throw his frustration on the lady. He may also show the lady that he's not a go-getter. Interesting. Mrs. F says, do not marry someone from a poor family or background. You really don't know who a person is until they have passed the test of having small change in their bank account and still being able to maintain decency. Interesting. Mr. D says that men easily become more passionate about chasing a good night's sleep rather than chasing their spouse, thanks to the unending stress of responsibility and bills. Boredom sets in, and only friendship can keep that ship afloat during this phase. Sex is intimate, but intimacy isn't sex. It is a mental bond. That was a nice one. Mr. E says, women can be so controlling because of their insecurities. They don't want you talking to other women because they are worried you might find her more interesting. So basically, this is built around personal insecurities. And then this is a very long one, but you guys should stay tuned and listen. It says, Mr. F says, I think marriage is more or less the kind of life you've been living, most especially if you married someone with similar values, internal network, and beliefs. The more the likeness, the less the shock, and the better. My personal experience as the youngest of my siblings prepared me for what to expect and what not to expect in marriage. And then I was mandated by my father-in-law to make a vow that I will allow my wife to be financially independent. I made that vow and she is financially independent. I later found out that this single decision has been a source of my stability in my marriage. I could say that it's wisdom I gathered at the point of tying the knot. I could have missed that were it not for my father-in-law. Father-in-law, thank you. We thank God for good father-in-laws and in-laws that can actually give, good advice, not the ones that are trying to scatter marriages. Mr. G says, try to be more patient because marriage is a school beyond our thoughts and imaginations. And Mrs. G says, ensure you find out about patterns, recurring issues in the family, so you know what you'll be dealing with. Are you strong enough for what to expect? Ask yourself this before you begin fighting foundational issues that you know nothing about. Mr. H says, you will learn the basics from your parents' home, but the rest will be with a mature mind. And if you're not mature, you won't learn anything in your marriage. Mrs. H says, knowing your spouse's family really well is very important. I agree with that. I mean, you're marrying the family. Now, Mrs. I gave us a lot of bullet points. Let's drop this. She says, have a life, job, business, etc. You must have a means of income. You cannot eat love. I 100% agree with that. Discuss lifestyles, religion, most importantly, your finance, your expectations, actual beliefs, childbirth spacing, family planning, help, maids, are you going to need any of that? About visitation and visitors, it is till death do you part. So take time and prayerfully take a spouse. No go marry weary. If not, you will just run mad from living with an unreasonable human being. She goes on to say, a lot of issues will come up from both sides, from family interference to cold friends. Understand this beforehand and accommodate. Also know when to say no and stand firm by it. Understanding, authority, and respect go hand in hand. You will find yourself giving and receiving respect. Love is not enough. This is the second time we're hearing it, meaning that it's actually a very important point. You should keep friends, honest ones, because you will always need them. Being a parent is hard. Do it intentionally. Study and practice good parenting, and also be flexible. She also says, God is your surest plug in times of confusion and trial, because those times will come. Save money and invest like mad. Save, invest, and jackpot. Mrs. I wants us to jackpot, should save and leave this country. Well, for those who want to leave, you can leave. Those who can't, make sure you get your PVC and vote right next year. So Mr. I says, the only thing I can think of is to remember to always make out time for each other. The pressure of having kids can make that go away a bit. I wish I fully understood how much pressure having kids puts each of the partners under. We would have made out more time for each other, but time just went by so fast. And then this is the last one from Mrs. J. She says, treat your partner as your biggest client. At the end of the day, it's your biggest investment. Learn to love them without being transactional. Interesting. It is for a lifetime service. So I'm wrapping this up right now. If you enjoyed this video, I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, if you have any other experiences you would want to share with us, or maybe things you feel like that were not included here that you would want to share, please do not forget to include that in the comment section. And as for those of us who are thinking of marriage in the future, I hope you learned something. I hope you took away some interesting points from this. Until next time, I am The Real Viv on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. See you again around here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. It takes hours to create content. Like this video, please. Okay, please like this video. See you again next time, guys.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful